want to thank Annette Leslie, I don't know where she is, for hosting that great reception last night. And if you haven't read her book, Carry Me, about her son Carson, you should. And it's like so many of you out there who have lived through this terrible disease. It's both heart-wrenching but also positive. Carson said that, Mommy, I hope those, whatever's happening to the tissues of my brain, that they'll be able to learn from that, and maybe it will save someone else's life. It brings tears to our eyes when we go through the pediatric oncology units and see these children. To those of you who have lost your child, like Tim and Donna Culver, who brought this issue to my attention, we're all from Brenham. They were my strongest, most passionate advocates, and I really thank you for your leadership in this whole effort, as well. My best friend in grade school died from leukemia, which was at that time a death sentence. It's better today. I want to thank Nancy Goodman. Many of you have heard about the Creating Hope Act. It was a bit of an experiment legislatively to address an area where we haven't had a childhood cancer drug developed since the 1980s. And it's basically a way to incentivize the marketplace where you have a market failure so that we can create childhood cancer drugs. And the good news is it's working. We had our first, it works through a voucher system within the FDA approval process, and we have our first voucher that was approved for almost $70 million. And another one will be coming down the pike. I don't want to give out too much, but will be coming down the pike in December for the first childhood cancer drug to be developed since the 1980s. And it was really Nancy's brilliant idea. I can't take credit, but Chris and I were the vehicles, if you will, in a bipartisan manner. After all, this should not be a Republican-Democrat issue. It's an American children issue. And it passed. I want to thank Mike Kelly for bringing, Congressman from Pennsylvania, bringing Brianna, our greatest childhood advocate, on the House floor in violation of the House rules to whip that bill. And we got the broad range of far left and far right elected officials and got that thing passed. And also thank you for Hyundai Hope on Wheels. We had an event earlier this morning. They've raised $87 million to the cause. And I want to thank you for that. And I finally want to thank my wife, Linda, not only for putting up with me over the years, but for always being the strong person that she is, passionate on this issue. She's on the board of visitors at MD Anderson and chairs the Childhood Cancer Committee, and working together, we whipped that bill. They call it whip. It's actually, we got votes, and really made it happen. It was a great partnership, and I really love you for that, and thank you. So we have a great program. I just want to touch on it very briefly and let Chris say a few words. First, we have the director of NIH, Dr. Francis Collins, here today. Thank you so much for being here, sir. Dr. Ron DePino, president of MD Anderson, who's been a great friend and ally of the McCaul family. And then finally, Dr. Amrit Ray, who's chief medical officer for Johnson & Johnson, which leads me to my last topic. We don't want this discussion to end today. We have proven that the Creating Hope Act works. It was passed on a trial basis, and we want to make that law permanent. But in addition, there's something else on the horizon that I see that will touch not only children's lives, but pretty much every American afflicted with cancer. And it's called compassionate use. We've heard stories of children that are denied access to clinical trials, that have cancer, that hear about a life-saving treatment or drug, but they can't get access to that. I had a good friend of mine, Andrea Sloan, who was 40 years old, who died from ovarian cancer, even though a drug company had a life-saving drug that could have saved her life. And we hear those stories too often. And we want to look at this legislatively. This could be one of the most transformational changes in the way we deliver medication to terminally ill patients. And we want to explore this. And I want to thank Dr. Ray for Johnson & Johnson has really been the leader in the drug company field, stepping up to the plate to have this conversation, to start having this conversation. And that's going to be a big part of our conversation here today as well. So thank you. So with that, let me turn it over to my partner, my colleague, and let me just say thank you for everything you've done for the cause.
Thank you, Mike.
Really
Thank you.